Welcome to the Mile High Podcast. We're your guides through sordid tales of movies, music, and pop culture. Our show is best experienced under the influence of cannabis, so now is your cue to light up. Now remember, drugs are dangerous. Please use responsibly, but do subscribe. And now your hosts, James Thomas and David Hawk.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It is Friday night. You're listening, or you're watching, or you're doing something involving the Mile High Podcast. And tonight is a very special episode because we were talking about the neighborhood, our online neighborhood, our community neighborhoods, our neighbors, our friends. And we opened it up to all of our hosts to come in and at least say something, say hi, do something. But the main host, the two people who you're going to be talking to tonight are myself, James Thomas, and my buddy Dave. Dave, how are you doing?
What's up, man? I'm excited and nervous about this show. Like, we're opening it up to just whoever wants to come in. So it could be a bunch of Baba Booies, or we could see friends that we haven't seen in like 10 years. So I'm kind of excited for that.
Right. And if you guys want to join in, hop on right below on the link that I put out here where you're watching streaming. On the description, it has a link to the Zoom page. I can't promise you'll stay on long. You may stay on the whole show. Who knows what we're going to do? And I didn't even set up a weight room because I like unstructured chaos, and it drives Dave crazy, and that's fun for me for some reason.
Well, we are very much like the Odd Couple. We're
Right.
very much like the Odd Couple. I love outlines, and you love to go by the seat of your pants.
Yeah, I looked at your outline like 40 minutes ago.
Yeah,
That's the
you're
first
like,
time
I'm
I've-
not going to do any of this shit.
Right.
Most like the other outlines I give you, you're like, I'll follow about 10% of this.
Right. I got the title. Okay, I understand how everything else works.
Plugs at the end. I can do that as well.
There you go. So before we go into what like the neighborhood is, and before we get people popping in here or not popping in here, we like to do a normal thing where we like talk about what's going on in the last week, which we'll probably cover sporadically as we communicate. So I'm going to jump right past that. See, I've memorized your outline, only reading it once. To let's talk about what we watched, and then we'll go into the Santori Project, and then we'll do all that. I'm going to go ahead and put out there that you repeatedly asked me to watch something, so I put 2 episodes in last night with my family, and we checked out Utopia. The first 2 episodes, it's good. It's intriguing. I'll give you this. Amazon likes anti-heroes a lot, it feels like, and they love killing people in brutal ways.
That's true. That's very true. It's a pretty brutal show.
Yeah, and we went the whole episode, and I was the whole first episode. I'm like, where the hell is Rainn Wilson or John Cusack? Because they were not. If you're turning it on and you're hoping to see either Cusack or Rainn Wilson, you will not see them in the first episode.
No, but when you do see him, they make the most of their screen time, and this is definitely Rainn Wilson's best work since The Office, for sure. I mean, he's been in a couple things, but this is definitely his most prominent role, and also probably his best role.
See, I'm 2 episodes into it. So I have which I imagined if I was to put this as a regular TV show, I would imagine the first 2 episodes really should be watched as a whole cohesive premiere. I would call it a premiere. You know what I mean? Like sometimes shows, especially hour-long dramas, broke up their season premieres or their pilots as a 2-part episode. That's what I see this to be. I know it's a continuing story, but to get the whole gist of what's happening, you need to watch the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, but the first 2 episodes don't really set the tone for the rest of the season. I mean, it goes in some weird directions, but it's really good all around. I just finished it today. Like, I finished the last episode today. John Cusack is very good in this. Very good.
Sure.
I love John Cusack anyway.
Yeah, no, John Cusack is great. He's a national treasure. So what else? I mean, I wanted to start off with Utopia because I just literally watched it yesterday. But what else are you watching? What else? What's your big thing going right now?
Well, I just got done watching Hubie Halloween with Adam Sandler. Well, my kid and I, we do the Truckee Pacific reviews, and so we are reviewing Hubie Halloween with Adam Sandler, the Halloween movie that just came out. He does a typical dumb voice, You know, he sounds a lot like a mixture between Little Nicky and Waterboy. But it was pretty funny, man. I have to admit, like, it's not like Happy Gilmore funny, but it's definitely an enjoyable Adam Sandler movie. If you like Adam Sandler, you'll enjoy it, and if you hate Adam Sandler, you won't. It's like cilantro. Either you really like it or you really hate it.
Is it a Grown Ups or is it a Little Nicky? Because there are two definitive areas.
If Little Nicky was a character in Grown Ups, it would pretty much be that. I mean, you throw in a little bit of Hocus Pocus in there. I mean, like, it's set in Salem during Halloween. You know, nice. Of course, has a lot of cameos in there. A lot of people reprising old Adam Sandler roles. Ben Stiller has a really good cameo. He reprised his role from Happy Gilmore. It was a pretty enjoyable movie. I can't say anything more than that. I can't give it any more credit than that. But it's pretty good.
Was it better than his last Netflix jaunt with Jennifer Aniston?
Oh, I think so. I think for sure. But of course, this is coming right off the boots or the heels of Precious Gems.
Okay, and I haven't seen that one yet.
Holy shit, that movie is fucking intense. And I mean, Adam Sandler is so incredible in that movie, and then his very next movie is him talking like this the whole time, and you know, doing dumb shit. And he has range. We'll say he has range.
There you go. What else? Are you watching anything else super exciting?
Yeah, dude. Schitt's Creek came out a week early, so we're about 5 episodes in. We are like, we're binging the shit out of shows, and we're like in binge mode. And then so we started binging Schitt's Creek, and then you had a really good point. Like, I'm savoring it because this is the last season, and we're like, holy shit, we need to pump the brakes a little bit. Let's savor this because the season's already starting out so great.
Right.
And so we're hitting the brakes a little bit. But Schitt's Creek already is really good. So,
well, see, in shows like that, are the tricks of those are you need to give it a certain amount of time when you know it's ending. You're not getting any more of it. You know what I mean? You don't really want to rush through it. So yeah, that's I watched the first. I want to say I think I may have only watched the first episode to just give my palate that little. These are the people I like. This is what I like. So that was good. Have you picked up Lovecraft Country yet?
No, not yet. I'm going to. And you and I have talked off at camera about my hesitations for the show, and you have put those hesitations at ease. And so I will be jumping into it because everybody's talking. It's kind of like The Watchmen, where everybody was talking about how great The Watchmen is, and I'm feeling totally left out. So I'm going in and watching Lovecraft Country here pretty soon. I will say, the Greatest British Bake Off, that's also been great. It started again, and it's been great.
Oh, cool with Mary Berry.
Yeah, and Paul Hollywood.
Yeah,
the Great British. I can't remember the name. It's like the Great British Bake Off or something like that. It's a really long name, but it's a really good show.
Yeah, it's really fun, and I like Mary Berry. I like and their new hosts aren't too bad. So.
No, they have this like round dude that was in, God, what the hell is that? The movie Bridesmaids. He played a really funny role in Bridesmaids, and so when he was on there, like, oh sweet, I know this guy's gonna be funny, and he's been pretty fun.
Okay, yeah, no, those all good, enjoyable shows. I watched. I haven't seen the Bake Off, but you don't have to sell me on that. I know that's always a really good show. Really the big things that I've watched The Big Brother, which we'll talk about on a different show.
What's the name of the show?
It's called Reality Bites, and we'll talk about the introduction of what's happening at Big Brother because they took half of a season to play. Other than that, I haven't really thrown out anything new outside of I'm a couple episodes into things now. Like I'm a couple episodes into season 2 of The Boys, which is enjoyable.
It's another one of those, weird comic book adaptations that Prime is doing. It's a really good one too.
Like I said, Prime is jumping in, and they like violent anti-heroes, which was very common with comics. All right, let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about Santori Project. I kind of expected Santori to pop in. He may at some point. Once again, guys, we are on like 7 different pages right now. So if you're talking in the chat room, number one, I'm not even looking at the chat room because here's my phone and here's the way I check it. And number two, I couldn't possibly go through every one of these chat rooms. So as much as I love you guys, and the reason that we set this up to do it like this is because we do love you guys, call in. You do not have to be on camera. Audio will be perfectly fine. It'll give me a name. It'll say your audio. You can talk. So link is in the description. If you're watching this tomorrow, it will not work, or it'll just zoom straight into my house, and you'll see what I do when I'm not here. But with that, one of the big things that we're doing, and this is going to tie into the whole neighborhood thing, because really with Truckee Pacific, what Dave and I had discussed was we like the idea of this welcome to the neighborhood type thing, where we're like, Truckee Pacific, for those of you who don't know, it's the production company that does anything that you see with us. Mile High Podcast, Reality Bites, the Santori Project, the Nerd Corner, Dave's Reviews. We don't publish Dave's book yet, but who at some point maybe we take over publishing for that. Who knows? So all those things run through Truckee Pacific. Well, the history of Truckee Pacific is this is our neighborhood. Dave grew up on Truckee. I grew up on Pacific Place. We lived probably 7 houses away from each other. And so we decided to combine it and put it as Truckee Pacific. As we built it, we got a webpage. We did some cool shit with the webpage, I think. But it was all things produced by us. Now, I've been producing content online for a decade and a half at least. And one thing that I've learned is that, like, you don't go anywhere without a community. And so we started bringing in our friends. And the community's kind of built. And we have more people that do things under the Truckee Pacific Productions label. And we have people who do their own shit, you know, and we encourage that. We promote things. Dave knows people who run food trucks. I have caterers that I like to work with. I have other podcasts that I enjoy listening to that we want to give a shout out. So Truckee Pacific is it's where we grew up. It's our neighborhood. And so every person who we promote, who we talk, who comes in and who comments there, you guys are our neighbors. And so that's where the focus of this was going. Was that a pretty good description of where we're going with Truckee Pacific, Dave?
Yeah, dude. I totally you hit it right on the head. Like, we are trying to bring in our friends and give a voice to our friends. Like, Santori is a great example. I mean, that dude is like a super good dude, like a genuine good dude, very funny, and we're able to give him an opportunity to go and see the world.
Something.
I'm hearing a haunting voice.
Do
we have our first guest?
We do, and they're labeled in as Mr. and Mrs. Retiree.
I know that voice.
Welcome. Introduce our first guest, Dave. Welcome our first guest to the show.
This is our official Truckee Pacific sponsor, also known as.
Right.
My folks, you're gonna have to turn that radio down there. I feel like I'm on.
This is our official Truckee Pacific sponsor.
This is going well already. All right, turn the volume down, and then let's talk. I don't know how that's gonna work.
We hear so many echoes of what's going on.
Because you have to turn down your Facebook.
For a podcast.
I'm glad it's not just me hearing echoes, man.
We hear so many echoes of what's going on. There we go. See, now I can hear me. That's great.
No, you need to.
That's great.
Okay, I feel like I'm in radio. I feel like I'm in radio. Okay, Father, turn down your Facebook and you have to listen through your phone or something.
Turn down my Facebook.
Or you turn on your computer.
How would I do that?
I don't know. We're gonna blow through it.
Wait.
These are our official sponsors, by the way. Paul and Betsy Hawkins, from the foundation of Paul and Betsy Hawkins. Serving the community since 1960-something.
Well, that's
there
perfect.
We go.
Yes.
Hang on mute.
Oh.
Up a little.
Hey, it sounds better. Let's go for it.
So yeah, no,
This
they are
white thing. Take it up.
So, hello.
There you go.
Do you see what happens when you mess with older people? Okay,
Old people
we're talking about.
All right,
We're talking mid-century modern here.
Hey, you're on.
Okay.
You're sounding crystal clear. So great job. We have overcome this hurdle together as a family.
We're talking mid-century modern.
Hey, you're on. Okay. You're sounding crystal clear.
Oh yeah, and the great thing is, Dave. You know, this is your parents are here, and they were part of this. I mean, they were one of the numerous parents in the neighborhood that we would go over to the house. We'd come over to my house. We'd go over to Darius's house. Kind of went over to Joel's house and everything. But these are all people who watched us all grow up.
Yeah. So this is DW's house. This is my house. My parents still live in that same house, and then James is like, down the other way. So, I mean, we had so many friends, and the really cool thing about our neighborhood, man, is that we're still talking even to this day. I mean, we're hanging out. You and I have a whole company, and we on Labor Day, all of us friends that have grown up since we were this old, like that's James and me. I mean, we still have shit to talk about. We're still friends. I mean, it's really when I think of neighborhood, I think of somebody who you can lose touch with for a couple years here and there, but then as soon as you see them again, you pick up like you have never left off. They have your back. You may not agree with them 100%, and that's perfect with us because, you and I are super liberal, but we have friends who are super conservative. And in our neighborhood, we may believe in different things and think of different things, but we're still friends, and we still got your back, even if you don't believe the same things that we do. And we try to highlight those different kinds of voices here on Truckee Pacific because we all think different things. We're into different things. Santori, who is going to join us right now, he is so good with music. I mean, and I am okay with music, and James is horrible with music, and I
am horrible with music. I will not be here next week for that specific reason.
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Retiree, I did mute you because Santori came on the show. We will come back to you, so feel free.
Turn down the computer. So we're just talking on Zoom. When you figure that out, let me know. Go and comment on the phone.
Text him. That's what he's saying. Santori, we used to have to describe these things to you. Hey, Santori, turn down the background. Hey, Santori, do this. But you are fucking proficient now, man, and you are traveling the country with the Santori Project, which is a pretty good lead. But more than that, welcome, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. We really enjoyed.
Yeah. You guys are all like in freeze frame for a minute. I was trying to figure out my settings.
There you go.
But yeah.
Thanks
for having me on.
Oh, of course, man. Of course, we really enjoyed Santori's car wash the other day. We would like to know if people, what kind of donations do you take to wash people's car like that? I know it's kind of a charity for you, but if there are people in the Atmore, Oklahoma area that would like Santori to wash their car in his underwear, I mean, what's your price, man? Name your number. I'm gonna have trucks lined up.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if you're going to actually get any business if that's the case. I don't know.
It's $10 for a car wash.
It's
$12 for a car wash in underwear.
Right.
Well, basically, that was just losing a game to you, and you were like, "Here, this is your challenge. Go wash a car in your underwear." And it was Mary Beth's car, number one Dick's car. So of course, whatever. I like to be a man of my word. So I said, straight up, you beat me in my own game, you get to challenge me, and that's what your challenge was. So,
well, Santori, I'm so impressed with your level of hosting a show. I mean, Santori, what now? I mean, it's such a good show, and it sounds like I'm talking shit, but I didn't know what to expect. I've never seen you host a show, and then when I got on there, man, you're fucking killing it. You're doing such a good job, and then the whole Santori project thing. I mean. You and number one Dick have done such incredible stuff. I keep going back to your interview with Cowboy at the motel where Martin Luther King was shot. I mean, that set the tone for the Santori project right there. I mean, that is everything that we were talking about on Labor Day at DW's yard. That's everything that we had talked about right there in that one video, and you guys have just gone up from there. So, I love that.
Well,
show.
I appreciate it. No. Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm glad that you of all people are enjoying it, because the fact you're a hard person to please, man. Not to say it, but you're very critical.
Man.
You are. So I mean, I'm just saying,
I'm easy to please.
If you're enjoying it, then that's cool. That means I know that there are other people out there that are enjoying it too, and that's all it is. And I appreciate it, and I'm grateful for the fact that we have the opportunity to be able to do this, and and I've learned a lot, and it's it's great. I'm blessed to have this opportunity. But it's basically it's entertainment, man, because what's going on outside the walls are it's ridiculous. So I'm just trying to bring some light to the to the Facebook world and everything else that can bring entertainment, because let's have fun. I mean, shit. So yeah, if you guys get a kick out of it, you like what you've seen, by all means, like and support. I appreciate the support, and I'll keep doing whatever. And I like the fact that James has got these scavenger hunts, and we're able to go and usually accomplish them, and it's cool. It's fun. So I'm having a good time. Thank you.
What was the place that has been the most fun? And then also, what is the place that has meant the most to you, like personally?
Before you answer that, Santori, hold that answer. Uh-oh. I got to ask you a question, because I know Mr. and Mrs. Retire, you're still listening and probably watching. So they're not worried. They don't feel bad about the technology thing. Every time I see you put your ear, there's a lot of times where your ear comes up to the camera. Is that because you can't hear us and you're putting the phone closer to you to hear, so you can hear us? It is, isn't it?
Well, yeah, just for right now, because I'm sitting next to an air conditioner and I'm outside smoking a cigarette. And this is the best lighting I have, but I'm right at this moment next to the AC that's kicking, so I can hear things. So if you see me doing that, it's because the AC is on. But yeah, I apologize for that. But it's going to turn off here in a minute because it's on auto.
There you go. I just wanted to. I thought it would be fun because I have Dave's parents on mute. I'm such a mean person. But go ahead and answer Dave's question. What was your favorite, and what was the most impactful to you? Or disappear? Oh, there you go. Now he's back.
Yeah. Okay.
You're here.
Yeah. All right. To answer Dave's question, okay, the Blue Ridge Parkway was a beautiful drive. I highly recommend anybody, if you have the opportunity or a chance, take that drive. It is actually a 5-day drive, but we have 5 days, and we made it 5 days just because of we started early and ended early, and had to find a place to our next place was we were gonna stay for the night. So. But anyway, it's very inspirational. I like that a lot. The Abraham Lincoln's, the memorial of Abraham Lincoln, that, it gave me chills. Just every, that in the night, and going in Washington D.C. and walking and checking everything out at nighttime was a great idea. Because, there's not many people out there, and you get to experience it. You get to, experience, and it's quiet and it's peaceful, and it's just I don't know, you actually it's just a great feeling that comes over you, and it's unimaginable. But that was my favorite part of the memorial of the war, when I was walking and I was being quiet and I was showing you all the states, and that I don't know where that's at, what it's called, but it had Truman's
memorial, or it's the World War I.
Do you know what it is?
Yeah, it's the World War I memorial. Yeah. Truman's words were on statued in, and it was just that gave me chills. But yeah, and then the thing that really bummed me out was when I went to go see the White House, and how he had the gate so far up to us that he couldn't get close. I just everything that because I went to all these places before, then I saved the White House to be my last, and it just gave me a bad feeling. Everything that I just witnessed and everything that I just felt just got kind of ruined, because it was I don't know, I felt freedom, and I felt, great to be American, and I felt, honored that these people have,
put their lives out for the rest of us. And then you go to the White House and you see this guy all barricaded and hiding in his little shelter. It bummed me out. But I just, I'm like, I'm not going to let this ruin my moment. So I went back to that feeling, but it did. That was kind of terrible. But, and also meeting Cowboy was great. And that whole setting, we were just going there just for, a historical moment. And then next thing you know it, I made a friend, and it just, it was great. It was like, okay, cool, and yeah. So this has been a great journey, man. It's been fun. I mean, I met a lot of, interesting people, a lot of fun people, and I'm looking forward to have some more. So
nice. You're expanding that neighborhood for us, and Santori Project is such an integral part of that neighborhood. Yeah, we're glad you're having a good time. I'm going to do exactly to you what I did to Mr. and Mrs. Retiree. I'm going to mute you for a second, Santori, and we're going to introduce – I know it's fine. I have the controls. And we are going to introduce our friend, my wife, Melody.
My wife.
Mel.
Hi.
Hey, welcome. We haven't seen you since
surgery.
Yeah, since surgery. You're looking well. I mean,
Thank
I saw you like an hour ago.
I mean, I've looked better since surgery than today, but thank you. It's good to be back.
It's been a long time. I'm glad you're doing better.
Thanks.
We're all very concerned for your health, because that wasn't like, you're getting your appendix out. I mean, you're getting shit removed, like important shit removed. I mean, it's pretty intense.
It was weird. I didn't think I cared. I think the truth is I was in so much pain, and I didn't eat because my stomach hurt. So I hadn't eaten all day. Then I went to the ER, and then they wouldn't let me eat in case they had to do surgery. So I was starving and in pain. So I didn't care until I got in the actual, the room they put you in where they give you the anesthesia and you pass out. And I was like, holy shit. Like, they start asking you end of life questions. I was like, oh, that's right. Like, because they make it sound like no big thing. It's not anything super personal. It was my gallbladder. They removed my gallbladder. So they make it sound like, oh, he does like 5-6 of those a day. And then they ask you those questions. You're like, shit is real. So I'm good. I have 4 holes in my stomach, but they did a good job. Doesn't look like that bad. So thanks. But I've missed you guys. I've been watching.
Well, the good thing is that you're scheduled to be on the show next week. So brush up your 90s rap knowledge.
I'm ready.
Yes, it's
I'm
pretty
looking forward
much
to it.
Except Dr. Detroit I will be played by Dr. Detroit on next Friday's episode.
Oh, you will be there?
No, Dr. Detroit.
Oh, you will be played by him. Okay, got it.
Yeah. He's in around at our square.
Nice.
Well, while we have you guys both here, and you guys are welcome to stay or go however you need. It's just welcoming everybody to the neighborhood. But do we want to try real quick and see if Mr. and Mr.
Oh, let's try it. I'm excited. Look,
actually do an introduction, Dave.
All right, before we go to Mr. and Mr. Retiree, I found someone who is just as integral to our neighborhood as any of my friends. This is my cousin Christine. Are you in Vegas right now?
Hey.
I am in Vegas right now.
Expanding the
Hold
neighborhood.
on. Mom's turning off the other one, so we have a retiree problem.
Oh my god.
My mom's here too. It's Aunt Bonnie.
Hello, Aunt Bonnie. Welcome to the Mile High Podcast. Everybody, this is my Aunt Bonnie. This is my mom's sister, and this is my cousin Christine.
Well, let's see. While we got them on here too, let's see if we can bring her parents.
This is heading for disaster, man.
Everybody's
Oh, we had a call in on Dave.
I don't have a lot of faith in Mr. and Mrs. Retiree being able to eliminate that echo.
Well, I've asked them to unmute it, so we'll see. Oh,
let's see. While we got them on here too, let's see if we can.
The answer is no.
The
Things
answer
have
is
not
no.
improved.
Why can't we get on there?
Hello, Paul and Betsy. Your cousin and your
help.
Good times.
How do we get on with you guys?
All right. So why don't you talk amongst yourselves? I'm gonna call my folks and see you. I'll be back in a minute.
Yes.
And this is part of what happens when. All right, there you go. Yeah, that's and that's so funny because that happens more often than not, especially because I started off on radio and we talk about community and everything. I started off doing my online presence through videos and then radio, and on online radio that happens all the time. So hopefully Dave can walk them through. Dave, are you back in with us?
Yeah, I'm back in. Before I go and call my folks, I know Christy had a story that she wanted to tell. She came up specifically for a story that she wanted to tell, and being that it's Halloween time, it fits perfectly in. So I'm gonna go call my folks while Christy tells this story.
All right, there's the setup. Christy, it's your story.
Oh, well, gee, let me be on the spot. Okay. I was probably 8 or 9 years old. My brother, Ben, was with me, so he was probably about 4 or 5. And my cousin David was in charge of watching us, as he is 4 years older than me. He, as some people, if you know him, is very dramatic and has always been quite the character. Had told a very scary story about break-ins in the neighborhood and how there's some guy wandering the streets with a knife, and had terrified us pretty completely. And then suddenly he heard something. And he got real quiet and said, guys, go hide in the closet. I got this. Go hide in the closet. So my brother and I are hiding in a hall closet, terrified. And then David decides to leave us in there probably 5 to 10 minutes. And then he opens the door dressed all in black, like this is Scream before Scream, with a knife, and jumps out at us.
Oh my God.
And we lose our shit.
Wow.
I'm so afraid of closets and my cousin.
Yeah, no, that's so funny because one of my distinctive memories about Dave is the first time I ever did Bloody Mary was in the bathroom downstairs at Dave's house. And so
so you know where the closet
right. Yeah, I know exactly where that is. So yeah, no, that's the first time we ever did that, and that's hilarious.
So I was locked in that I'm sure you talked about that coat closet. My sister locked me in that coat closet for years. As my babysitter, she would kick me in that closet, put a chair up against the door. It was just me. It was just sitting in the closet by myself in the dark.
Oh.
So then you had to little cousins.
Hey, shit rolls downhill.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I work with our cousin Sarah, and she wanted me to mention her bed story if an opportunity came up.
Which one?
Because that's her favorite story with Paul.
When she got stuck.
We were all playing hide and seek, all of us, all the cousins. So Amy would have been there, Ben, all of us, and we were told explicitly not to go into Melanie's room, Dave's big sister. I'm sure he talks about her. We were told explicitly not to go in his room, and that's where Sarah decided to hide, was on wall side of the waterbed, and she got stuck. And we left her there for a while trying to figure out if we should tell Uncle Paul he was in there.
Oh no.
It's one of those things where, like, should we tell somebody? Because we're going to get in a lot of trouble if we tell somebody. But we also kind of have to tell somebody at this point because Sarah's pretty stuck in there. Yeah, for sure. All right. So, James, Mr. and Mrs. Retiree have assured me that their computer with Facebook has been turned down. So let's test this hypothesis.
All right. Let's bring that up. Let's see how this is doing. And I've offered it to be unmuted. Let's see how this goes.
All right. The anticipation. All right. So, James.
That's great.
I love that there's this, like, 7-second delay.
Our show is pretty funny. Like, I get to listen to it like 45 seconds later this way. And it's pretty funny.
Hello? We can't hear you, son.
Paul, there's going to be a delay.
Okay. Okay. Here we go. I think we should come over to your house. Okay.
Oh,
All right, this is. I'm sorry, that was strike 3. Thank you for sponsoring our show, Mr. and Mrs.
Anyway, I think
You are
your
officially
program has
canceled.
been a success, and we look forward to future.
Dave, why would you put your parents in? You should have prepped them for this. I'm sorry.
And hi, Chris.
Dave.
Okay. Well, it's an old
What your
computer.
sponsorship dollars is going. This is the
Sorry.
high quality product that those sponsorship dollars are going towards.
I'm so glad you guys made it in, though.
All right.
Okay.
Mute him.
Anyway, it sounds like
Strike
Joe
3.
Biden
Strike 3.
with
Sounds like Joe
Donald
Biden.
Trump talking everything. That's what it sounds like from here. So anyway, we don't know, but we get Joe.
Okay. Well, that was an abject failure, but we
That
tried.
was great.
And you know
I
what?
liked it.
I appreciate them for trying to come on. We're going to figure this out because they're a fun-loving bunch of people.
Even in the
We'll
delayed
figure this out
audio,
soon.
it was even in the delayed audio. It was a lot of fun. So
Yes, it was.
All right. So who else is coming on? I sent out a bunch of hey, you should come on. You're from the old neighborhood, and they're like, yeah, we'll totally be on. And then I'm
Where's
like,
Mike?
yeah, who knows? I don't know. Where's Mike?
Where's Potter?
Where's
Where's
Potter?
Potter? I don't know. Where's DW? Where's Joel? Where's Mike Dolan? Where's Josh Youngberg? I mean, these are people that we have grown up with, that we have so many stories with, and they're gone. So we're going to have to make up stories around them.
oh, you just tell their
Melody?
stories.
Yeah, where's Melly?
You think my sister would come on a podcast? I don't think so.
Oh,
It's not like it's recorded.
Right?
I am.
All right, I'm gonna throw in
We are
a
green
story.
from the green, but we're here.
Well, I appreciate you saying you're my true friends. I'm gonna throw in a story here. So, James and I have gotten into lots of trouble together. DW has always been involved, and the three of us together were definitely a bunch of hoodlums. One day, James is like, "Hey, I have this BB gun in my house. Let's go shoot this BB gun in this field across the street from us." So, that sounds like a lot of fun. There's nothing else to do. Let's go shoot guns behind your house. And so we go, and then James shoots the BB gun. Darius shoots the BB gun. I'm about to shoot the BB gun, and then I hear a voice yelling like, "Drop the gun now! Drop the gun!" I'm like, holy shit, what is going on? And I turn around, and there's fucking cops looking at us hands on their pistols, like, put the gun down. And I'm like, I'm 11 years old, so I'm not comprehending what's going on. And I'm like, it's not my gun, it's James's gun. And James and Darius are just laughing behind us.
Yeah.
James's mom's yelling across the street, just drop the gun, Dave. I was not comprehending, so I almost got blown away at 11 with a BB gun.
Yeah. Well, you were white, so that worked in your favor.
That's the reason I'm still white. I'm white. That was only the first time I was accused by cops or almost shot by cops. I was almost shot when the Safeway near our house was robbed one night, and I went to go shop at 11 o'clock at night because I was making breakfast for my girlfriend. It was our anniversary or something like that. And the door was locked, which was never locked. So I was like, that's kind of weird. And so I get in my car to leave, and my fucking car is surrounded by cops and lights blaring in my car. And I had my Pantera turn up so loud, I didn't hear what the fuck they were saying until I finally was I kind of put my head out the window, and they're like, don't move your fucking hands. They had guns pointed at me and shit. I mean, and I'm like, who the fuck? I'm 18 years old or something like that, and I have no idea what the hell to do. I'm like, how can I put my hands down and get out of that car? I don't know what I'm doing.
I have had cops point their guns at me a few different times, but none of those stories, all of them are good, but none of them I'm sharing. Mel, I know you had to prep for next week because it's a music show and you're really serious about it. So thank you so much for showing up, and I will let you get prepped for next week.
Yeah, it was good to see everybody. I look forward to being back officially next week. Nice to meet some of Dave's family. Can't wait to hear more stories. All right.
We have lots of stories.
Bye, guys.
All right, bye. Funny thing about
Stay
that field where you were shooting my Red Ryder BB gun that I got entirely because of the Christmas story. I buried a rabbit in that field, and so this is the story about that. It was dead. It wasn't a live rabbit, but
well, that's good. That's a good. That's a good thing to start the story with. Like, it was not a live rabbit. I didn't bury the creature alive.
Right. And she is on my Facebook page, and this is broadcasting live on Facebook. So my ex-girlfriend at the time left her rabbit at my house for Christmas. And I was like a freshman in high school. So like it was a big deal. Like she really cared about the rabbit and I wanted to take care of it. And she trusted me with it. And then unfortunately, one night the rabbit did escape from its cage and it went out back, and my dog Grizzly got a hold of the rabbit. Oh. And so then like we didn't know what to do, so we buried it in a field back there. And for years, like now that I'm telling this story out loud and realizing that she's on her Facebook, I don't think I ever confirmed to her that that's actually what happened. I think I told her the rabbit had a heart attack or something. She's accused me of it for years. But yeah, that could have been like the first admittance she's ever heard. So if she doesn't listen to our stuff, that's on her. But yeah, that's another story about that field.
Do you feel better now that you've gotten that off your chest? It's been 20-some years.
No.
As I was speaking of it, I was like, man, am I just blowing up a lie that I have been very, very good at covering for all these years? That's what happens when you smoke weed and go on live places and just start telling stories. So, but yeah, man, the neighborhood was cool. The neighborhood, we had a lot of people growing up. People cycled in and out. And the cool thing about our neighborhood, like you said, we all stay in contact in one way or another. Santori knows Joel. He knows DW. He knows me. He knows you. He knows a good majority of like the interlinings of the neighborhood. Not Mike Dolan, or he doesn't know Potter either, but you know what I mean? Like, our neighborhood expanded, and we have friends. Darius and I moved to Florida. We have entire other neighborhoods of friends. Mike is one of the neighborhoods of friends that we've expanded out to.
Yeah. We have, like, I haven't met Santori before I met you guys. Like, I had a Facebook memory. I think it was maybe a week ago of when we first met all together when Santori was here. It was like 2 years ago. It was like us with Hollywood Tony P at Pictures.
Right.
Which we can probably do a whole episode just about Pictures. You know, see, Chrissy even knows Pictures. See, that's how far this neighborhood reaches. Like, she knows all about Pictures. Pictures is a great little dive bar from down the street from us. But literally, I met Santori 2 years ago at this one bar thing, and he made such an impression because we talked about music. Like, him and I share a love like Tool and Pantera, like 90s rock and shit. I mean, that dude is fucking, he's like Rain Man when it comes to like classic rock, dude. It's pretty impressive. You know, we just talked for hours. Like, he was one of the dudes that grew up with us. And I'm, you know, Dr. Detroit. I've just met Dr. Detroit like 2 weeks ago, and he's a cool extension of our neighborhood. I mean, I have known us long enough to know that we have a pretty good judge of character. So, James, the people that you make as friends are going to be people that I'm going to enjoy as friends because I enjoy you as a friend, and by extension, your friends are going to be very similar to you. So I know I will like them. Same with DW. Same with, I guess we're just us now. You know, Joel. I haven't seen Joel in a while. Mike Dolan has moved to Las Vegas. You know, but it's us core three who've been around the longest. You know, I trust you guys.
Right. It's the Thor, Iron Man, Captain America circle, and everybody else is additional Avengers. Santori, you're Hawkeye.
Oh man, come on, he's nicer than that.
I thought he put Dad's pills up here. Did you grab them? Maybe I didn't know.
I don't know what happened. So
We're
Santori,
trying to get Potter's going to be joining shortly.
I hope so. He better be on. Santori, so what comic book character? Because we were talking, James and I were just talking. I think he fell off. We were talking that me, DW, and him were the three Avengers. We were Captain America, Iron Man, the Hulk. And he called you Hawkeye. And I am here to say that you are way better than Hawkeye. So who in the Avengers would you be? Or are you Hawkeye?
No, I don't classify myself as Hawkeye. Someone already stole mine, but I would like to consider myself either like Superman or Captain America.
Superman or Captain America?
Either one.
Did you grow up reading comic books?
Not really, no.
No. What did you do? Tell me, what did you do in your neighborhood? Like, where did you grow up? Who were some of the friends that you grew up with?
Well, my friends that I grew up with, you guys are very fortunate enough to have contact like you guys do, like you, D-Dub, and James. Most kids I grew up with, I don't even know what's going on with them. I lost touch a long time ago, probably like in the 5th grade. That changed everything. And for me, like 4th grade, we all had the same teacher, same, class, whatever. And then you get in 5th grade and then you get separated, you go to different classes. And then when you get to high school, you definitely don't even talk to the kid that lived next door to you. It was just a weird realm.
Where did you grow up?
In Novi, Michigan. And, but in the wintertime, you guys probably reading comic books. I was listening to the radio. That's why I'm so Rain Man about music knowledge and stuff. And I was also, playing it. We had, some houses didn't have basements, like in Minnesota, there's basements there, and then Florida doesn't have any basements, but I had a basement in Michigan, and I just pretty much spent my time down there. I had a fort, and I would have my friends come over and stuff like that. But then, I was just pretty much just playing and just being creative. It was weird, playing guitar, entertaining, like Andy Kaufman. If you ever know Andy Kaufman, how he was like entertaining when he was a kid, that's what I would do. I would just find ways to entertain my parents and also, stress them out and give them a hard time, because that's what kids do.
That's what kids do.
Just like, but yeah, I'm bored. Entertain me. Let me entertain you. But yeah, I never got into comic books. But I would consider myself Cap.
I'm going to jump over to Christy because you look bored. I'm going to make you interact with me. So you grew up, Christy has what's up, Cam? Christy has a very unique, she has a very unique situation where she actually grew up in a small town up in the mountains. So, tell me. Well, Christy moved all over, but you also lived up in a small town up in the mountains. And so, what was that like? You lived in Denver and you also lived up in a small mountain. How was that different? How did you like that? Like, which one did you enjoy better?
I really envy that you have your neighborhood group of friends that you've known your whole life. That's definitely something I didn't get. And that's why we've chosen to live in Granby and kind of stay put so that Cam can have an experience like you. You have your group of friends for 30-something years. Growing up in a small town was definitely interesting. I'm sure a lot of other people could have some of these same kind of stories. We have a pit behind our house. I'm sure Ben has a whole bunch of stories about, because he used to do the same things you guys did. He would go out and shoot with his friends, and they'd ride bikes all over the place. By the time we settled down in Granby, I was in 7th grade, and I've always been an introvert and antisocial, so my my stories are not so exciting. But I think Mike Potter just joined you, Dave.
Yeah, being antisocial, that's why you and I get along so well, because we can just look at the other and scowl.
Like, say hi to Daddy.
And joining us is another one of our neighborhood extensions. It's all, when we say it's all in the family here at Truckee Pacific, it really is. So this is our buddy Mike Potter, who we've known since freshman year in high school, who is now married to my cousin Christine, who in fact met at my wedding. So talk about all in the family. So Mike knows all about Truckee and Pacific. Like we hung out quite a bit. Who did you mostly like? Who did you really hang out with like at the beginning? Because didn't you hang out with? Was it James Moore or was it Dolan, or what was your introduction to the Truckee Pacific neighborhood?
It was probably Dolan.
It's probably Dolan. I tried to get Dolan. I tried to get Dolan to come on. He said he would, but sadly he's not here. But
that's Dolan for you.
Dolan just had another baby. Oddly enough, I don't know if you guys knew that or not. See, I even the people who we don't like necessarily interact with on a consistent basis, I still kind of like follow along. I think James got kicked out, so now I'm the man. I am officially. Oh, there he is. We've missed you, James.
What picture stories do you guys have? Come on.
What'd you say?
Hey, I made it back in, and it looks like Potter showed up as well.
Potter, yeah. So we were talking where Potter was friends with Dolan, and then that's kind of how our neighborhood, met with him. But you didn't. You kind of went a different path as well. What did you do? You didn't when you were in Rangeview, like what did you decide to do? You went off and did something a little bit different.
Are you talking to Potter?
I'm talking to Potter because I already know what you did.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of did my own thing. I didn't like school, and it was like Dawn's like, "Hey, let's go hang out at my house." I'm like, "All right, cool."
Do you want your son to leave the room?
Don't listen to Daddy, Cam.
He made some. Yeah, keep going, Dad.
I did make the best choices, but I do regret a lot of them. But here I am today.
Because time keeps going on, and that's the problem with our choices. Is the farther you get away from them, the more you realize, like, man, that was a dumb decision. But like, you can't do anything. Like, time goes on some of those choices. It's weird.
No, it's kind of funny how things like work out in the end.
Yeah. It sets up for whatever it's supposed to be. The great thing about this is I like that I both have Santori and Potter here because Dolan, who is the third person that is who is supposed to show up here, they all have the same first name. I'm starting to realize that, like, I don't ever call anybody. I don't know anybody named Mike because I call every single one of them by their last name. It's Santori, it's Potter, it's Dolan. I don't know one Mike in my life that I call Mike.
So, we have mentioned this guy named Dolan a bunch, and he hasn't showed up. But we spent so many hours up at Dolan's house, smoking weed, drinking, whatever,
playing video games,
parties. I mean,
watching wrestling.
We watched a lot of wrestling. We listened to a lot of rap in his basement. We did a lot of bench presses because he had a bench press machine down by his room. So we did a lot of bench presses. I mean, we got in a lot of trouble. And it's too bad he didn't show up because so many of our stories kind of revolve around his house. His mom and dad threw like killer Halloween parties. I can even remember to this day. They would fill up their whole refrigerator with Jell-O shots. And when you're an 18, 19-year-old kid, you're like, fucking unlimited Jell-O shots, man. Of course. A lot of good times at that house.
Yeah, no, that cul-de-sac really, especially after a certain period, like into the high school, after high school and everything, everybody kind of, when DW and I both got sent away from our respective schools, it all kind of centered into Dolan's garage for a summer at least. Little John, little Nate would show up there. It was a good time. We would actually wrestle. We'd have little groups, and when DW got his new car, I threw Joel on top of the hood of it the same day that he got it. And I was like, well, don't come in the ring then, man.
I powerbombed this kid named Jeff.
Right.
Hey, Mike, isn't Dolan's mom's name Paula? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yes. Hey, you guys want to hear a funny story?
We do.
I would like to.
Yeah, Cam wants to hear a funny story too.
You want to hear this funny story, Cam?
Yeah, I like funny stories.
After I moved up here, before I moved up here, Mike's mom gave me her phone number and was like, "Hey, if you need anything, give me a call. This, and that." And Christy, being the Snoopy she is sometimes, went through my wallet one day. I came home from work, and she was like, "I need to ask you a question, but who's this Paula?" And I just start laughing. And she's like, "What's so funny?" And I'm like, "That's Mike's mom."
Mike.
And it's still a joke 17 years later.
That's
Paula was cool as shit. Kind of now that I'm a parent, I'm like, that was some pretty serious, like pretty poor parenting, really. You're like, let's invite all my son's friends over and let's get them fucked up. But at that time, I was really excited to go up to their house, especially on Halloween.
Oh yeah.
Looking back, I'm like, I probably shouldn't have, thought this is so cool because this is not really cool.
Going back to I remember one time Dave got so drunk up at Dolan's house on a bottle of
Aftershock.
No,
this was in front of the house that is in between me and Joel. I remember this very clearly.
Yeah, but we got drunk up there. We
drank up there. Yes.
Yeah. And then Dave he looks at me, and because I was working at Pizza Hut, and so I would get like one of the people's owned a liquor store, and so I would have one of my drivers. I would just be like, "Here's what I want," and whatever I wanted, he would just get for me, even though we were underage. And so he knew I was the one to talk to, and Dave's literally throwing up on the sidewalk, and in between throw-ups, he's turning and he's like, "Give me another one for tomorrow." And I'm like, "Dave, man, that's crazy. That's not going to happen."
Yeah, and now I can't even finish a beer. Like I drink like half a beer these days.
That's funny.
I drink everything I wanted to drink. I pretty much consume between 17 and 21. And I'm such a lightweight when I drink, and I hardly even drink at all these days.
There you
go. Okay, this is getting into some serious drug talk here. So, Christy, if your kid doesn't want to hear about his cousin Dave and drugs, I think now is a good time for him to leave.
Runchka.
Okay.
Love you, Cam.
Later, buddy. So, James, I don't know. James has a wide network of friends who can pretty much get him anything at any time that he ever wanted. Like he said, if he wanted to get alcohol, he'll get alcohol. If he wanted to get mushrooms, then he would get mushrooms. And the only 2 times, I've only done mushrooms 2 times, and they were very enjoyable experiences, both done at James's house. And I remember one of those times we sat listening to Pink Floyd and watching his blue television for, it could have been 20 minutes or it could have been 2 hours. And then we're like, let's go for a walk. And at like 2 o'clock in the morning, high on shrooms, we just decided to walk around Aurora. Seemed like a pretty good idea. And the other time, we were walking around our neighborhood going from his house up to Dolan's house at the top of the cul-de-sac. And coming back, we saw a whole family of raccoons running across. And when it's nighttime and you're really fucked up on shrooms and you see a whole family of raccoons, it is like one of the most intense experiences of your life because they look like the size of bears to me. And I was very concerned about them. And then they left. And I was like, I don't know, did I actually see these raccoons or was it just me? But I'm pretty sure they were raccoons the size of grizzly bears. I'm going to stick to that story.
There's no such thing as grizzly bear-sized raccoons. And I'm guessing that's a shroom
What about
story.
the 3 times you did it?
Oh, James, you muted me, son. What's up with that? The third time, I don't remember the third time because I don't know. I remember one time that I did shrooms at James and Butch's apartment. And
Yes,
this is how
and we
cool
watched
fucking
it.
James is. James is the coolest motherfucker ever, okay? So we go swimming in the pool in your apartment complex. Like we jump a fence, and then I leave. And then I realize the next morning that my phone is gone. My cool, like, 1990s phone is gone. And then, like, 2 hours later, James comes over like, yeah, these motherfuckers stole your phone. I found it in their house. This is your phone, right? Here's your phone back. I'm like, Holy shit, that's like one of the coolest things ever. That's when I remember. James is the best.
There you go. I try. I thought you were going to tell about how I bought a bunch of mushrooms and just dumped them all over my table and invited random groups of people to just come in and take them.
And we watched It later.
Yep. And we watched Rugrats.
We were eating it and we were smoking it.
Yep. And we watched
Rugrats. That's the first time you were like, wow, Potter talks.
Yeah. Yes. Because I knew Potter for I knew Potter for maybe a year, and you hear one or two things out of him. But the Shrooms night, it was the first time I was like, oh, look at that! There's somebody else there. That's hilarious.
That was a good night. I don't remember falling asleep that night, but I do remember watching Rugrats. We watched wrestling.
Yep.
We watched your Blue TV. We walked around our neighborhood for a while. I mean, there's some good times, guys. Good times. This is the neighborhood. This is
one time I did. Well, so I'll tell a mushroom story too, because mushroom stories are always fun. Besides doing it on my honeymoon, we went to Amsterdam and did it on my honeymoon. My wife kept taking pictures of this cat in a window, and I kept telling her, I was like, those pictures are not going to look as cool to you when we get home, because it is, as they do now, because you're seeing them, you're shrooming, the cat looks like it's like floating and shit, and then we get back and there's just 17 pictures of a cat in a window. For the first time I had done shrooms with Butch, we were over at our apartment at that time, and this girl was over there too, and I had gotten some shrooms while I was at Pizza Hut again, because Pizza Hut's just so you know, if you want to buy drugs or underage alcohol or anything, go to your local Pizza Hut. Someone there will help you.
Probably go in the morning too.
Right. But so I had bought all these shrooms and I took them back. I gave my buddy Little John some. I said, "When you get off work, take those and you can come over to the house." And so Butch and I just eat these shrooms, and I don't remember this girl's name. I don't know who she is, but Bush was hanging out with her, and then we were like, "Well, we're gonna start tripping. Let's drive her home. I'm not feeling anything," and I'm like, "Yeah, me neither." And so we start driving her home, and then we start noticing 5 minutes into the ride that she's in the back not saying anything, and Butch and I are just talking to each other, and I can see as we're looking at these lights, and I'm like, "Are you seeing that? That's super weird." And so we were peeking right as we get to her house. I felt so bad. She just got out of the car. I don't even know if we said bye to her, and we just backed out, just kept driving. That's the mean part of the story, and I apologize to whoever that was if you're watching. The great part is we get back up to Pizza Hut, and my buddy Little John he worked the make table at Pizza Hut. And old man Jack comes running out, who's one of the managers. I was a manager at the time. Old man Jack comes running out, and he's like, "James." I'm like, "Old man Jack, what?" And he's like, "What the hell's wrong with John?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And I go in there, and here's Little John standing on top of a chair, just kind of bouncing around. Anybody knows Little John? He's just a little squirrely little kid. And he's like, "Hey, man, what's going on?" And I'm like, "Dude, I told you to eat those mushrooms after you got off work." So old man Jack was like, "Here, take him with you." But from when I had been at work that morning to when Jack took over the shift at night, they had changed out the trash can in front of Pizza Hut. It was just one of those little small cylinder trash cans and everything, basic black ashtray on top. Well, they have this one with a logo and multi-brightly colored, and it was just, so it wasn't there when I left. And I had left there 3 hours before. So when I pulled up, when old man Jack's talking to me, I'm like, "What the hell's wrong with the trash can, Jack? What happened to the basic?" It was just, shrooms are great. That's my
shrooms are fun.
That's the moral of that story. Shrooms are fun. I'm
never
there. And I know Aunt Bonnie has some of those stories because she was a hippie growing up. She was flower child.
Her daughter did not.
Are you gonna regale us with a tale of shrooms of years past?
No. I'm good. I'm listening.
Right. And reminiscing in your own way. Well, yeah, I mean, that's what it is. The neighborhood we've broadened out. We know each other's families. We know each other's children, and we know each other's parents. And so it's weird. And that's what Truckee Pacific, to bring it all back to the original thing, is what we're trying to do there. we're trying to make something that allows people like Santori, who is doing the Santori project and traveling all over the country, to be creative, to put it out. Some shout outs that I definitely want to give to some other people. Unrequested Podcast is a good friend of mine. I worked with him from ADT. He's really funny. Him and his partner, they're basically new on it because they still have their episodes labeled by numbers. Like, they're like number 9. I'm like, oh, that's great. And I started thinking, I was like, maybe I should introduce our show as what number it is. And I have no idea what number show this is. So I'm going to say 23.
Oh, dude, you nailed it. 23. This is episode 23. I include the James Games as Mile High Podcast, so this is 23.
Wow.
We officially have 59 shows up on Spotify.
That's awesome. That's cool. I randomly guessed 23. I'm
it's all good. It's a conspiracy. Wasn't that a Jim Carrey movie, like a conspiracy movie? 23. It's all related.
I don't know. But yeah, so that's basically it. I mean, this was all about the neighborhood. Dave, do you have anything else you want to throw out about the neighborhood and everything?
No, I just am super lucky to have the friends and the family that I have. I mean, super stable family, and we stayed in the same house, and I'm pretty blessed in that because it gave me an opportunity to like really get to know you guys, and I wouldn't have this cool fucking podcast or this podcast company if I didn't have cool friends and creative people like you. We've been talking about who should play Wolverine and X-Men ever since we were in 7th grade, and we're still talking pop culture shit to this very day. The only thing that's different is that we weigh a lot more and we have more gray hair. But other than that, we're still talking the same stuff that we were talking about when we were.
Just for the record, I just weigh a lot more. My hair, this is my natural color.
Okay, I have more gray. I am really gray.
Yeah. No, my will always have this.
The gray ginger.
Right?
The gray. Call me Captain Graybeard.
Well, I would like all of our guests for showing up and being part of this very special night. I'm really excited for Mr. and Mrs. Retiree who called in and who gave their best damn shot. And once I muted you guys all and unmuted it, I started hearing an echo again, and I realized I had blanketly muted everyone, and then I unblanketly muted, and in that area, I got them back in here. But we hope they can actually be on here for an actual episode.
And they're officially our first sponsors. So this amazing show, officially sponsored by the Paul and Betsy Hawkins Foundation.
There you go. There you go. But yeah, thank you everybody for showing up. And Dave, do you want to do outros, promos?
Yes, all of our shows can be found at www.truckiepacific.com. James has done a lot of great shit with that website. Dante and I are recording our Hubie Halloween Truckee Pacific reviews. We're going to be doing that tomorrow morning. Other than that, I'm promoting my book. It's available now on the Kindle, the Nook, and paperback on Amazon. And I'm writing another book right now that's my first foray into true adult horror, and that's coming along great. So I'm super excited to have you guys read Event Horizon, and then look forward to Sundown, which I'm very excited for the world to read it. That's all I have.
Excellent. Yeah, check us out at Truckee Pacific. Check out the Santori Project on Truckee Pacific or on the Santori Project. Everything that we say pretty much has its own Facebook page. So My Life Podcast, Truckee Pacific, Santori Project, Potter. Go to all of them. Subscribe, like, follow. Thank you, everybody. Next week, my pretty face won't be here, but a much prettier face will be in my...
we're talking 90s rap. So it's going to be just definitely out of James's wheelhouse, but 90s rap. So yeah, follow us along. I'll be hosting that one. We have Santori, Dr. Detroit, and Mel. So we have a great host of people.
Right. And I'll do Vanilla Ice to start off the show. Yeah.
Oh, you better shave your hair.
Late 80s.
Yeah.
We'll start late 80s because that's when shit really got real.
Right.
Really got real.
Right. Run DMC. All right, everyone, have a good evening.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you.
This has been a Truckee Pacific production. For sponsorship inquiries and comments, go to themilehighpodcast@gmail.com.